at Perry Meridian High School.
On that baseline three-pointer.
Hello everyone, my name is Isaiah Hoffman and welcome to this episode of Inside IU Esports. And on today's episode, guys, we are going to get to know the men's soccer team, and we are also going to get to hear from Coach Steve Moore. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it to Coach.
Thanks, Isaiah. This is Steve Moore, head coach for the men's soccer team, and here's our roster for the 2022 season. First up is Alex Vischer. Alex is a returning senior for us, played a good chunk of the games last year, was an all-first team, all-conference player for us. Really looking for him to step in and play a key role for us this coming year. Next up is Peter Lamprow. Peter's a sophomore for us, came in and battled for the starting gig, played a handful of games when Alex was out. They split time early on in the season, and he's probably the best second keeper that I've had in a season since I've been coaching. There's not a huge difference, largely just experience. If he's got to step in, if he wins the spot, hey, guys aren't going to think twice about having him back there. He's a big-bodied kid, moves well, does really well with his angles. Very, very solid backup goalkeeper for us. Next up is Josh Hley. Josh transferred in for us this spring from Bethel University up north, so was able to train with us all spring long. It was pretty beneficial for him. He's not a big guy by any means, but awfully technical with the ball, dangerous getting forward. Should be a good complement to our returning guys. He can play as a central midfielder, he can play out wide, kind of got some versatility to him there. Next up is Tong Tong, TT as we call him. TT got a good chunk of minutes last year as a freshman, playing as a center back. Big kid, does well with balls in the air, does well being physical in the back line. Biggest thing for him is just making the jump going forward, is just decision making. But real solid player for us, has had a good camp so far. Looking for him to have a solid impact for us this coming year. Next up is Cal Coleman. Cal's I guess technically a junior, has one more eligibility year left after this one with COVID, but Cal's was a rock star for us last year. His first team all-conference player as a center back, was out for a couple games, injured with his ankle last year, and you could easily tell the difference when he was there and when he wasn't there. He was basically count on him making a couple just game-saving plays for us, and so getting him playing and having him back for another year is going to be huge for us defensively in the back line. Next up is Albert Yaka. Albert's a transfer for us, spent the last 2 years up at St. Cloud State. Technically, I guess is only a sophomore with the COVID year, and Albert's been really good for us this year. He'll largely play in the central midfield for us. He's a brick house physically. Even in our first scrimmage, just was having his way with guys physically. He's got a great motor, really fit. Going to play a lot of minutes, and is going to be really solid defensively for us in the central midfield. Next up is Dylan Gross. Dylan's a freshman coming in from just over in Vandalia, Ohio. Played really good level club soccer towards the end of his high school career, and he's someone that's going to probably play, he's a left-sided player, left-footed, probably play a good bit of left back for us, and to look at him, he doesn't look like a real physical player, but he gets on the field and he's a load to deal with. Things are still moving a bit fast for him as he transitions from high school pace to college pace, but he's definitely, I'd say, a freshman for us to kind of keep an eye on. Next up is Jerry Sanchez. Jerry's a little bit older. He's only a freshman for us, but he took a gap year this past year. He's another guy playing central midfielder that has got a great motor. He's been a sponge, willing to listen, willing to take pointers both from coaching staff as well as older players. You can tell that he wants to get better. But great attitude, great motor, willing to do the work and put in the miles. Came in a little underfit, but it's coming along real nicely. And I think that he's someone we're gonna see good things from down the road. Next up is Jared Ashmead. Jared's had a really solid camp, battling a little bit with some nicks injury-wise, but he's someone that's going to be really dangerous for us in the attack. Has a great understanding of space, what kind of movements he needs to have to be able to get into dangerous spots and to create trouble for the back line. But he's going to have what I envision to be a really strong year for us. Next up is Vince Brown. Vince is another freshman. Vince came in pretty late for us recruiting-wise, but I think that he's I think that he's had some struggles as he's gone through camp, just with adjustment to speed of play and just kind of getting used to the new group. But he's someone that is battling, and you can see that it's almost there for him, but it's coming. He's going to be someone that's going to be dangerous for us as well. Was someone that came out of high school, haven't had a lot of success, particularly his last year, just a goal scorer. And I'm excited to see him kind of transform with some time, with some experience, and see what he can become for us. Next up is Manny Cabrera. Manny's a senior for us. This will be his last year playing, last semester of college, and came in relatively fit. He's coming from out in California, so the weather out there I think affected him a bit training-wise, having to adjust to the heat and the humidity of the Midwest. But he's someone that's got a lot of experience, that knows what he should do. Just a matter of putting it together, putting it on the field. Played a lot last year, got a lot of minutes, and so potentially being a guy that's going to see those minutes even jump further. Looking to see good things from him this year. Next up is Boy Ting. Boy's one of, I think, 5 guys that we've got. The first of the freshmen coming in from Perry Meridian High School in Indianapolis. Kind of have a pipeline of guys coming in from there. He might be the most technical of the guys that we've had from there. He's another guy that played high-level club soccer. I think that, again, he's having some similar transition points as some of these other freshmen, just with adjusting the speed of play, adjusting the physicality of the college game. But he's someone that has a ton of potential, and likely will see a good number of minutes playing central midfield for us this year. Next up is Zach White. Zach comes into us as a transfer from Tiffin University. Played over there last year and then came in for us. Zach's great attitude, busting his butt. Anytime we're doing any kind of fitness stuff, anything work rate wise, we know that we're going to get great effort from him, and that's a testament to the heart that he plays with. I'm excited to see him develop as well. Next up is Santi Elivarasu. Santi is also last year, senior year. I guess technically he's only a sophomore, redshirted his first year before transferring in here, and then had a COVID year. Obviously, a lot of the years are a little bit different in terms of how much experience these guys have. So he's in his 4th year of playing college soccer, similar with Manny. Saw a chunk of time playing out on the wing for us last year. He, I know, ran on the track team this last year, so has some physical talents in terms of his pace, in terms of his speed. Looking to to transition, using those abilities to translate onto the soccer field in terms of goals and assists. But we want to get him into spots and be able to use that pace to generate opportunities for us. Next up is Nolan Everts. Nolan's also last year senior, 4 years of college experience going in, I guess will be his 4th year college experience. Nolan's a grinder. Nolan's a scrapper, gets after it, not afraid to mix it up. Not our biggest guy by any means, but you wouldn't know it from how he plays because he'll get into a tackle, he'll scrap with a guy. Sometimes in training he gets a little annoying just because he's to the guys that he's playing against, just because he's always up in their business. He's just kind of a gnat that you're just always having a fool with, and that's a good thing from a player, from a teammate standpoint. Tyree Hyman also transferred in from Tiffin after 2 years over there. Another player with. We knew that this was a big class coming in general, and wanted to find some players that could bring some experience, so it wasn't just a bunch of freshmen. And so having 2 years of experience over there in a good program is going to bode well. Understands the game, very versatile, can play about any position but center back and goalkeeper maybe. He's not the biggest guy, so those two spots don't suit him super well, but so far in preseason we've seen him as an outside back, we've seen him as a winger, we've seen him a little bit here and there as a central midfielder player, but hard to say where he'll see the most amount of time just because of that versatility, but the experience, he's a communicator, willing to open up his mouth and talk and help teammates that way. Both good things. Next up is Eddie Carrizales. Eddie's super late for us. I think didn't commit until late July, right before he started preseason. But Eddie's been a phenomenal find for us. Taller kid, 6'1", 6'2", I think, and he's been really active. He's playing as a forward for us primarily, sometimes maybe as a winger, but he's maybe as consistently as anybody been able to find himself in dangerous spots to receive balls, to have opportunities to go a goal, and that's a great thing. The other thing, Eddie's wanting to learn. Same as I think I mentioned with Jerry, he's been a sponge and he's willing to take advice, he's willing to listen, willing to learn, and that's a great thing for freshmen to not come in thinking they know everything, and that's definitely not been Eddie. He's coming in, willing to work, willing to and fit. One of our guys that passed our fitness test, no problem. Great to see from an incoming freshman. Next up is Xavier Scott. Xavier's from down south, down in just outside of Evansville. Played on a very successful, very competitive high school team with Castle High School down there. And same way, Xavier's come in. Unfortunately, he's been banged up a good bit of preseason, so we haven't probably seen him quite as much as we'd like. But he's one that came in pretty fit. Is working. When we've been able to see him, has worked really hard, willing to listen and take advice and adjust his game. He's someone that I think will factor into our wide players, our wingers. He should be someone that is able to come in and carve out some time for himself. Next up is Phil Kegba. Next one of the Perry Meridian crew. Phil's had a really solid preseason. Came in, had played as a center back at Perry. Phil's not the biggest of guys, 5'8", I think he says, and so that typically doesn't mesh well with what a typical center back is. Normally, you figure center backs are the bigger guys. And so we knew coming in, hey, is this going to work for him to be able to play center back at the college level? And thus far, it's working out. He's very athletic, quick, fast, able to close players down. I think probably the thing that I think about, that probably the guys think about, is despite being 5'8", Phil tackles hard. When he gets in, when he's getting in and making it, whether it's a slide tackle, whether it's whatever else, there's no hesitation on his part. And there's been a number of our guys that have taken hard spills because Phil's got in with a pretty hard tackle. He reads the game really well, communicates really well in the back. He's definitely going to have a role to fill this year, seeing him play quite a few minutes. So excited for his future. Next up is Tristan Thomas. Tristan, returning sophomore for us, led our team in goals last year. So looking for a really solid encore year from him. I'd say that the difference maybe a little bit is that he's coming in this year probably not having to shoulder as much of the load as he did last year. Last year he like I say, led our team in goals and led us by a good margin. And while I'd love for him to see him have a boost in his goals, he's not having to carry the whole load this year. We got some other guys, and so that should free him up. Hopefully won't have to see him receive quite the, I'm sure in last year, he was the scouting report in terms of who do we need to stop. He would have been the guy. And this year, I think that he'll get a little bit less of a look just because that load will be spread out a little bit more. But excited to see what his encore is going to look like this year. Next up is Dalen Troutman. Dalen is kind of our elder statesman, so to speak. He gets a little bit of grief from the guys. He's been here from the start. Had a redshirt year, had a COVID year. The joke is, what year are you exactly, Dalen? But he's got a lot of experience, been around the college game for 5 years already now, and so that experience, no surprise, matters. And physical development he's had in that time matters. He's assured of himself, knows what he wants to do, doesn't hesitate once he makes that decision, whether it be to go forward, whether it be to go and try and win a header, whether it be to make a tackle. He's in it, and that's that assurance, that understanding from guys playing in the back. He plays primarily as an outside back for us. That's a really good thing. And so he should have a solid role for us playing as an outside back this year. Next up is Gavin Miller. Gavin's also a senior, seen a good chunk of minutes. Gavin's super fit, our most fit guy on the team, which is good. Playing as a central midfielder, we're going to need minutes from him. And that experience is going to go a long ways for him as well. Gavin's an intellectual guy, and so is thinking and processing on the field as he plays, and that's a good thing for us as well. And so he's one that's going to understand what's going on, what needs to be done, and he's going to be an engine for us in central midfield this year. Next up is Zion Griffiths. Zion's freshman from just up the road in Muncie, not far from home. Zion's strong kid. He's going to be able to hold guys off the ball. Again, similar with some of our other freshmen, the speed of play, physicality. Physicality, I wouldn't say has quite been as much of an adjustment for him, but I guess I should say it's not a detriment for him. He's not getting knocked around. I think that he is finding that he's not winning battles, physical battles, probably quite as easily as he did in high school. And so I guess I would say that's the aspect of that is a transition for him. Speed of play is coming for him. Again, just pockets close up, windows close, guys cover ground faster across the board at the college level. And so as he adjusts to that play, I'm sure that we'll see his level pick up, his success come. But he's a guy that has a solid future, and we'll see time as he go throughout the season. And I expect him only to get better with that time, as he makes those adjustments. Next up is Alex Knight. Alex is a sophomore central midfield player. Unfortunately, Alex has been out a fair little bit this preseason as well, so haven't seen him probably quite as much as we want. Last year played a bit, but was a bit of a transition year for him. Again, speed of play, typical kind of stuff that we see from freshmen having to adjust to. I will say we've seen some really nice goals from Alex so far this season. He's got a great touch on the ball, and if he has time and gets a good look, he can put a ball on a spot. And that was one of the things that we talked about with him last year coming into this year, just having more consistency with that. There's the ability's there. It's just a matter of being consistent with it. And we've seen some signs of progress in that regard. So looking forward to see that play out this year. Next we've got Tong Pai. Tong Pai is a redshirt for us this year. Transferred over from Oakland City University, so he's sitting out the redshirt in the year due to conference transfer policies. But Tong Pai, he's a great add for the team, if for no other reason than from a personality standpoint. Always got a positive word. Even if I'm chewing on him about not doing something how I wanted it, he's always got a smile and is able to lighten the mood for guys. And that's a solid thing. Tong Pai plays as center back for us, so he'll work and train with us playing back there, give us an extra body there, which is good. But he's going to be a great add for the team, even not being able to get on the field this year. Lastly, Hoi Leon. Hoi, same deal as Tong Pai, transferred over from Oakland City, and plays up top, plays as a forward for us. Have missed him for a chunk of preseason due to some paperwork things, physical stuff, but just in a little bit that we've had him, he's going to be a good player that's going to push us. As a forward, he'll be someone that's going to force our backs to play, to get better, and that's what we're looking for from him this year. Not being able to get in games, we want to be able to use him. We want him to be able to get better, and like I said, just in a little bit of time, we've seen that from him. So looking forward to a good year from him. All right, that's our 2022 roster for the men's team. We're going to take a little break and then come back and talk a little bit more about our upcoming season.
All right, everybody, huddle up. Team, it's been a tough season, but with these new cutting-edge plays, we'll stay top in the league. Great assist in that last total hip replacement. Keep them clean, keep them pain-free. Focus on orthopedic fundamentals, flexion, extension, and rotation. Let's get movement back in those joints and patience back on the field. Now, who's with me? Let's go.
Reed Orthopedics, right beside you.
The Wayne County Historical Museum is home to all kinds of unique items and artifacts. Everything from antique printing presses and locally built airplanes to a stairway to nowhere and even a mummy, all of which help educate people about the incredibly rich history of our county and beyond. But preserving and sharing our history is a community effort, and nobody knows that better than First Bank Richmond.
And we're doing historically great things together.
Looking forward to our 2022 schedule. I think that I'm excited about it. I think that thus far through preseason has just stoked the fire a little bit. We've got a lot of new guys, similar to I know a couple of other teams. We've only got 11 guys that return. And we've only got, I think, 6 or 7 guys that are junior, senior status, 3 or 4 years of experience. So on one hand, that's scary stuff with that many new players. But I think it's for as a coach, it's an exciting thing to know that, hey, we've got a lot of young guys that are quality players that are going to give us a boost. From a schedule standpoint, we've tried to build it. We've tried to build it a little bit more, knowing that we're as young as we are. Trying to find. In hindsight, we played a daunting schedule last year. I think that all but one of the teams we ended up playing finished with above a 500 record, and that was a challenge. And we, hey, in large part due to the how senior laden we were last year, the guys were able to battle and fight back from a good bit of adversity. And this year with a chunk more of new guys, we tried to build a schedule that was such that there was more opportunity to find early success. And I think that will be beneficial for our young guys, not to be able to find that success, to be able to see things work well and build on those things. So really looking forward to getting into that. I know some big games that we've got on the docket. We resume a series with crosstown rival Earlham. We think we play them middle of September. We get going on the 20th of August with our home opener against Rochester. And then our conference opener, I believe September 29th, Rio Grande rolls into town. And there's historically none better in the conference than Rio. So should be a good opportunity for us right from the get-go to see what we're made of and see how we stack up with the best of the conference. So really looking forward to the season, looking forward to see what kind of progress we've made, how some of these young guys are able to adapt and get going with their college careers and see what we're made of. We'd love to have everyone come out. We've got some of our home games split between Eaton, Ohio and Centerville High School this year, but we'd love to have as many fans come out as possible. And our roster's a lot more heavy with local players, so looking forward to get friends and family out. But that's our season right up, and looking forward to a great season.
Thank you, Coach. Make sure you guys do go out there and get a good look at the men's soccer team. They are doing very well this year, so make sure you do go out and support. That is going to do it for this episode of Inside IU Esports. We will see you guys next time.